All right, folks. A little unusual, but what I decided to do today and do this week because normally I try to update folks every week on classes. Since we have an online class running and we're getting into Unit 2 at this particular point, I figured I would do a video update. I wanted to address a couple of things. Number one, Unit 1 closed, Unit 2 opened. I was kind of surprised because I currently have three American One courses running, two online and one seated. I noticed that the folks in the online class reported to me that there were some extraneous questions in Quiz 1 that for some reason, should really be in Quiz 2 or perhaps Quiz 3. And so I wanted to commend you for that and kind of wanted to log in here just a little bit and say, well, look, I will be looking a little bit closer because things perhaps there might be a little digital slippage along the way, but I was pleased and confounded because although the folks from the seated portion are taking the same quizzes, none of them were alert enough to realize that perhaps some of those quiz questions were out of order along the way, which means either you guys are better students or they're just not paying attention. And I'm going to assume that you guys are better students and paying attention. So I appreciate you letting me know, and I'll be kind of going back and double checking. Two, with the unit closing, I was kind of surprised that not everybody got everything done, that there were a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons why, and that's across all my classes, folks, because all the units, all the first units closed. I have to tell you that people said, well, I misplanned, that I did this, I did that, I had a problem. And some of you already know, and some of you to be surprised. In the middle of Unit 1, I had a death in my family. I lost my mother suddenly. And I appreciate the sentiment that many people have expressed on that because, yes, we were close. But at the same point, I showed up, I did my best to answer emails and things. And so if you're saying, well, this or that or whatever else came up along the way, I'm going to tell you that I'll give you a little bit of latitude in Unit 1, but by Unit 2, I'll expect you to get up to college speed, which means you look and see at the very beginning how much needs to be read and plan to read a little bit each day to knock it out. Plan ahead saying, well, look, this is due here, and this is due here, and this is due here, and that you plan ahead and get it done. I don't look kindly at asks for extensions when you've literally got 2 weeks to get assignments turned in. You don't have to wait until the last minute. You can go ahead and turn it in as soon as you're done. If it were me, I would knock out the reading as soon as I could, go ahead and challenge the quiz for the first time and see where my knowledge base is at and where I'm loose at and where I need to tighten up and perhaps study more. That way I can challenge it 2 or 3 times because you get 3 times along the way. Also, this week I have already started reading through some of the doc reviews. Look, if you turned it in this week and you turned it in on time, you got 100. But I want you to check the notes, check the feedback in gradebook, because what I'll be doing is going through and reading. I'm one of those teachers that I'm not going to assign you something unless I'm going to read it. So don't make that bet that you can just fill in text and I won't read it. Don't make that bet that you can go to ChatGPT and fill in the text. Yeah, I know about that. Okay? I'm going to read what you've got. It needs to be comprehensive. And if you're reading the doc and you're really putting to use what I ask you to do, then you should be able to cite elements of the doc to back up your thoughts. What I want you to do is be better arguers. Okay? I want you to be scholars and I want you to use the information from the doc, or if you're so inclined, to go ahead and tap into outside sources and use those outside sources to go ahead and back up what you're saying. You're basically borrowing somebody else's academic credentials, and that's important. On that same line, discussion boards. Not everybody got to the discussion board. Not everybody got in and did 2 replies to the discussion board. So if you got a 33, you got 1 post. A 66, you got 2 posts. And if you got 100, then you got all 3. Now, at the same point, I'm going to want you to pay attention to the feedback on some of those along the way, because if you're doing that attaboy post, I like what you said. No, that doesn't work for me. That's like walking up to somebody and saying, you're pretty. That literally means nothing and says nothing. If you don't tell them why or how you think they're pretty, then it's not going to mean anything. So yes, I'm giving you dating advice here. But at the same point, I'm saying, look, if somebody said something and you agree with it, then tell them why you agree with it. If you disagree with it, which you're entitled to do, whether it's me or anybody else. Somebody asked me in my CETA class, well, I replied to you, does that count? And I said, well, I don't appreciate the implication that I don't count. Yes, I count. So go ahead and reply. But again, add to the conversation. Just don't say I like or dislike. At the same point, I've already mentioned you need to go ahead and get those quizzes taken. You can't hurt your score by taking it more than once. You get 3 attempts, it always keeps that best score. Now, I notice I'm past the 5-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and close out and say I am looking at the essay topics, the term paper topics at this particular point. Not everyone's given me one. If you haven't given me one, I can't approve it. Okay, which is hurting your grade because it's hard to go ahead and get research materials for a product, for a topic that hasn't been approved. So if you've not done that, you need to get it to me, and then you need to look a little bit later, like possibly by Friday at the latest, to get the topics I've approved. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and just ask you to make sure that you jump in and that you get started on the reading and you get started on looking at what's required. All right, that's it for now for this update. Thank you.